Hey, my friend, welcome back to the Work Happier podcast. I got a great special guest for you, a little treat, a sneak peek actually what it's like working with me and my team and our coaches. We have Coach Sandra here, who is a certified positive psychology coach. She has nearly 2 decades of experience in HR and recruitment at amazing brands like Mondelez, Honeywell, Lazada, and we have her here today. So with that, let me introduce Coach Sandra. Thank you so much for being here, Sandra. Really, really good to see you. For those who don't know you, yeah, Sandra, maybe you could walk me through just your career so far and any aha moments you had in your HR experience. And then I'd love to go deeper into mindset and some of the things that we teach our clients that can help our viewer too.
Yeah, thank you for having me here, Show. It's an honor and privilege to be part of this podcast today. Frankly, I'm a little bit nervous coming into it, but I'm ready to go. So thank you for that question. That was a very big question, right? Aha moment. And I was just thinking about that as you say. It, for nearly 2 decades in recruiting, sometimes I saw that having a better job doesn't always mean a better life. I think that was a very big moment for me. I was thinking around how many candidates, talent I've spoken to, having everything on paper. They have the title, the money, the power, and yet they feel so stuck. And I resonated with that so much. So one day in 2020, I think that's when COVID happens, I just decided to study positive psychology coaching. And that has led me through a long journey to where I am today, having certified as a coach in 2022. I launched the brewing space in January 2024 with this vision, this ambition that I wanted to create a space where people can pause, reflect, taking intentional steps just toward a direction, a path, not even just a career, right? That feels right for them. So I think that's the moment when I realized that it's time to step out of corporate.
It's interesting you say that, Coach Sandra. Like you see so many students or candidates who went through that experience because I can see myself in that too. Like a lot of people know that I started my career in consulting, I did HR, and now I do WorkCap. And I thought that I would be happy after getting this like prestigious consulting job. We were making 6 figures and I was doing this. But I think that's one of the reasons I started WorkCap, right? It's like I had that aha moment too, is that even though you have the money or you have this level of prestige, if it's not what you want, it just like doesn't really fill whatever hole that is. So I'd
Mm.
love to ask you, Coach Sandra, like, when you were going through your career, did you always know you wanted to do HR? Because, you spent almost 20 years in it, right? But did you always know that? Was there like something that pulled you towards it? Yeah, I would love for you to share that story.
Yeah, no. Funny that you asked that. That brings me all the way back to my university days. Honestly, my ambition at the time when I was studying psychology was that, oh, it would be so lovely if I can become a psychologist. But I just didn't have the financial means at that time in the family, right, to study masters. And right after graduating, I decided that HR would be the thing. But here's the thing for me. I was looking at all the advertisements in HR and I was like thinking to myself, no, I don't want to go into admin or a HR generalist. There must be something else in HR for me to do. So by chance, I got to know this headhunter who inspired me that, hey, there's a lot to recruiting than what I know. And that's how I started my first job in a retained search firm environment, learning the ropes, becoming a researcher, and just finding my way in the recruiting space. So it all started from there. In fact, talking about pivot and transitioning, right? One time I was like thinking, oh, I've been doing this for 4 years now. Maybe there's something more. Maybe I should go outside and see what else is there. Maybe recruiting is not for me. But I don't know what would be, I guess, available and what would be suitable. So I did a shift, a small little pivot. I joined a consulting firm and I did a Southeast Asia scheduling role. knowing or thinking that, oh, maybe this might be it. Oh gosh, I lasted 9 months, show. I lasted 9 months and I was like thinking to myself, do I have to start all over again now?
Mm.
Yeah, that was like,
But you started your career in recruitment then, it seemed like. So you were a lifer. You did start in HR, you started in recruitment, and that's your breadth of experience, right? Was all here. I
yeah,
see.
yeah. And I love looking back because it
Yeah.
showed me that every company I go to is of different size, different industry, totally different from one another. And I guess I'm so blessed to have the opportunity that leaders see something in me that I didn't then, that I could do something else that I've never done before. And they just gave me that experience. I mean, I went from being a recruiter, an agency recruiter, to in house, from just managing Malaysia market to taking care of the entire Asia Pacific region. So that was like, whoa, it felt so
Mm.
limitless at that time.
That's great. That's great. So one thing I actually want to ask you, Coach Sanders, because unlike you, where you've like spent most of your career in HR and recruitment, I tried like finance, I tried consulting, and then I stumbled on recruitment, right? But one thing that I found was recruitment is so sales heavy, and I wasn't really prepared for that. I don't think anyone like teaches you or like everyone tells you like recruitment is a sales role. So I want to ask you personally, like when you went into your recruitment role, did you feel that sales pressure? And if you did, like how did you overcome it? Because I think I've been working with you now for a few months, right, Sandra? I would say that if I just met you out in the stream, like, hey, I'm Sho, you're Sandra, my first thought wouldn't be like, oh, hey, that's a seller right there. Like that's not someone who's like, oh yeah, that like for sure they're really experienced in sales. Not that you can't do it, but that's not the first like impression I get of you. So I'm curious. Obviously, it didn't stall your career, right? You had a really long career in HR and recruitment. But I'm curious, like when you first learned that you had to do that, how did you feel about it?
Oh gosh. 100% I'm not a seller. I'll tell you that upfront, show. I mean, you know me by now. I shudder at the thought of having to be salesy, to sell something to someone or anything. And I found that that was one of my limiting belief when I first started. I was so hung up on the target, right? I started looking at my clients and my candidates like numbers. It's like, oh, this week I'm not meeting enough. Next month, next quarter, what am I doing? But you know what really helped me was that essentially I'm in a people business. So I started shifting that mindset and said, I am not selling. I am helping my client, my hiring managers to find the right talent at the right price point at the right time. And I'm here helping candidates find the job that they want, that they think they want, and thrive from there, get the promotion that they want. And that helped me do better because now I'm not seeing numbers. Now I'm seeing people and I'm just connecting dots. So, one of my super strengths, I suppose, that's well known in the company at that time was I was one of the only recruiters who could always nail interviews for my candidates and my hiring managers. So if you tell me that I have this job open up for a week and find me someone, I was like, I've got you. I find three. They said, great, I'll meet all three. And I get this real high excitement that I'll just quickly call all three of them and say, hey, you got in. Can you do this interview on this date? I don't even ask when are you free. I just immediately slot it in and the hiring manager would just be great. I can interview and make decisions soon. So I really like that momentum because then I'm just seeing them as people.
I like that. I like that, Sandra. Yeah, like it's so interesting, right? Like the different candidates and clients that we meet, and sometimes you have a certain image of like, oh, I think this person might be a good for this role, or someone might be good for this role. So it's like interesting even for us. We work together as coaches. It's like, oh, I like again, if I didn't know you, I wouldn't think of you as somebody who was in recruitment or HR. But that's what you do because you think about it in a different way. So that's really cool. So Coach Sandra, I mean, today there's so much that we could talk about. We could talk about our experience coaching. We could talk about some of our clients, how we help them, all those things. But I would love to get clear and really focus in on mindset. Because I think you're really good at that. And for anybody listening, it's actually very different from what I coach on and how I coach. So I think bringing you on and listening into some of your experience coaching people on mindset and maybe even yourself on overcoming limiting beliefs, like I think that'd be bring a lot of value to our audience. So maybe we just start off there. Maybe even before you were coaching, Coach Sandra, because I know you said you got certified in positive psychology and you went through different programs, but maybe even before you knew what coaching was, did you have moments in your career where you felt that your mindset was not at the place where it is now? How did you slowly overcome that? And how did you get to where you are today? The reason I'm asking is because I think mindset is such a crucial piece to the job search that everyone kind of forgets about, right? They think about resumes and interviews, but it's the stuff up here that really can make the big difference. So I'd love to, for you, maybe go back into your past. When did you have some times when mindset wasn't maybe where it is right now?
Mm, yeah, that was actually a very difficult moment for me. I was, mm, I was in a Southeast Asia role, and I remember thinking to myself that this is really hard. I don't think I can do this. And I started having a lot of self doubt, and I can feel my confidence just dropping day by day. It comes to a point where I wasn't even showing up for myself anymore. I was just going through the motion, I guess what people will say. And I realized that I am my biggest roadblock because I am telling myself, I can't, I cannot, and I won't. To be honest, that was really a difficult time and it took so much out of me. I was
Mm,
drained. I wasn't looking forward to work. I wasn't
mm,
talking much to people. I was just recluse in my own space, thinking that I am safer in that environment. But one thing that made me realize was, and this is through a lot of, difficult moments of crying, questioning
yeah.
what's happening, why am I doing this to myself? And I just sit down with myself. And so I'm a big fan of reflective questions. I
Mm,
think some of our clients are already experiencing that. So I just practice what I preach. I listed down all the questions in front of me on my notebook, and I started taking the time to answer them. I think number one was I needed to find myself. Not necessarily that I am lost, but I needed to know what are my values again. Why am I
mm,
feeling this? If 5 years ago I wasn't, but now I am. Something has changed.
mm,
Something has shifted. So, values, understanding my strengths, and also realizing that, sometimes quitting doesn't mean that you are giving up.
mm,
Quitting can mean that you acknowledge this isn't the right place for you. And now you're finding out, oh, where could it be? What can I do to find that? So that's where I was.
I like that. I like that, Coach Sandra. How did you get there in the first place? What was it? The environment? Was it a boss? Was it personal life? What was the circumstance at that at that time that made you feel that you were lost?
Yeah. It's a lot to do with, as cliche as it sounds, show culture of the company. And, culture doesn't mean how the company is functioning, but rather how the leaders are behaving. And for me, I'm an introvert. I'm not used to being in an environment where people are shouting and screaming at you for things that's not even your fault. I find it really hard to reconcile with. It's something that some leaders believe that fear produce results,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm on the other side of the story. So I just figured that um, maybe not. It's time to look for something else because I don't subscribe to fear-based performance.
And was that the so you quitting that job and you doing some reflection of yourself and what you wanted, was that a quick process for you, or was that a journey? And when did you eventually feel like yourself again?
Oh, wow. I was in that job for more than 18 months, and it took another 6 months. And that was because I managed to land a job at Lazada. And that was a Southeast Asia role again. It's something similar, but a bit different, right? A different industry and all. But I was in a better environment than before.
Mm.
And I think that helped me build momentum. That helped me build clarity because, clarity only comes after action, not before it. And the
Mm.
more I do it, the more I see myself coming back. I say, hey, I'm a good recruiter. I can do this. I was just in a different place that doesn't enable me. So I would say it's not a quick fix. Many of my clients come to me, give me a quick fix. I just want X number of sessions and a program, and that's it. But I always tell them, be patient. You can take as long as you need.
You dropped a gem right there, Coach Sandra. That clarity comes after action, and it doesn't come before that. Oh man, it's so true. And it's not just job search wise too, right? Like it comes with most things that you're trying to do or you're trying to improve on. It's like you kind of have to get out there and do messy action, and then little by little you'll get to where you want to go. I love that, Coach Sandra. Like this is what I was saying earlier. Me and you, I would say like our goal and our vision, our mission of trying to help people, very aligned there. It's like we want to help people, we want to push them to be their best, we want them to be happy, all those things. But the our backgrounds are very different, and I think the way that we do things with our clients are very different. So like for me, I would say mindset, even when I was younger, and not to say that I didn't struggle with some confidence issues or I struggled with anxious thoughts, but for the longest time, when I think back about my childhood, my dad, if I got a good grade at school or I did okay in basketball or something, right, he would just be affirming the hell out of me. He's always like, "You're the best. I got the best son. No one can touch him." I mean, maybe he didn't say the last part, but right? Like he was always gassing me up ever since I was young. And I have found that now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, man, I'm so blessed that I had that growing up. And I try to do that with my wife now. I try to do it with my friends. I try to do it with my family, even our clients, right? Coach Sandra, I mean, you've been to my coaching calls. Like, I try to gas them up. I want to make them feel good.
Mm.
But what I've realized is that sometimes people also don't respond to that too. Like, there's a certain person who also likes that words of affirmation and feel lit up by it. I think I'm one of them. But for example, like my wife, sometimes I'll like, yeah, I'll encourage her, and she's like, yo, shut up. Like, I don't want that right now. So I think it's very interesting how you are doing the motivational stuff like your way, right, Sandra? So I'd love to hear that from you. Like for me, I'm a words of affirmation guy. I'm a rah rah. I will light you up because that's how I get lit up. How about you personally, Coach Sandra? How can others fill your cup if you aren't feeling your best? That's the first question. The second question is, how do you fill your clients' cups? Like what's your techniques there?
Oh, that's so interesting. I've always get the question on how do you fill your own cup, but now you're asking me the other way around. How do others fill my cup?
Yes, yes.
I'm like, wow, that's a really good question, Show. Hmm. I suppose that means for me, I get energized a lot more when I am engaged in a deep conversation with someone. So it's not just small talk. It's no surface talk. It's not, how's it going? And you stop there, right? So for others to fill my cup, to make me feel energized, motivated, it's all about talking about topics that matters. What are you nervous about? What's stopping you? What are you afraid of? Why are you thinking about this? Tell me more, right? So I am someone who only have a handful of close friends. I have many acquaintances, but close friends are the ones that fill my cup, because then they would come to me and said, "Hey, let's make that coffee." And I was like, "Oh, yes, coffee. That's a very good topic to bring up." So I'll be
Mm,
happily brewing my own coffee, right? And as I'm standing there brewing coffee, and then they were standing by the door watching me brew, and we're just talking.
mm,
And we're talking about things that matters. How are we feeling at work? What's exciting for us? Or some days, I remember this just happened recently. I
mm,
was telling a friend that I miss her presence.
mm,
And I said, I would love to hang out, but we don't have to talk. And she's like, "Oh, I would love that. Can we just hang out and not talk?" But actually, you know what? We end up talking anyway. But the expectation of just being there for one another, knowing that we have that support system that you talk about, that means a whole lot to us. And that's how I bring to coaching, right?
mm.
If you are the one that I see you as a cheerleader, show. You will
Yeah.
always be there. You're that supportive friend. You're that friend that knows no bounds, no limit. Anyone can do anything as long as they put their mind to. And my job, for me, how I do it is, oh yeah, you want to do that? How will you do it? I am the empowerment one. I was like,
Mm,
you want to do this? I see it. Well, tell me how you will do it. So in that sense, you and I are like, I don't know, the analogy that comes in mind is a spoon and a fork. We complement each other. I think maybe because I'm hungry, I'm thinking about food right now. So it's like you're there to motivate them already. That's the first step. And the second step is, how do we empower them? Because then, my job as a coach will give me the utmost satisfaction when my clients no longer need me. They've gone
mm.
through the whole thing, they work for themselves, and they said one day, "I think I'm good now." It's like, nice. So that's where we
I
go.
like that. Yeah, I like that. And you're very right too. It's like we are different in our approach, but the end goal is the same. We want the best for our client. And I think that's one of the reasons why our community does love working with us, right? Coach Andres, like every week is a little different of a coach, a different flavor. You're not gonna get the rah-rah always with me, and you're not always gonna get a little bit more of the empowerment and maybe the softer side with Coach Sandra. It's like sometimes you need a mix of both. So
Mm,
that's how I found, and even for me too, like I'm talking about me being the rah rah for myself and being rah rah for my wife. Like sometimes my wife likes it too, right? She's like, okay, I need that. Maybe one day out of the week, the other 6 days, she's like, dude, shut up. So it's like some people just have those things, and I think even for me, I like the rah rah. But if I'm with someone else who's rah rah, I'm like, yo, dude, okay, chill, right? So I can only imagine sometimes what I'm like to somebody else. They're probably like, yo, shut up, man. So I get it. Like you need a little bit of balance. You need a little bit of thing. You know what I like about that, Coach, your story, Coach Sandra, is that with your friend too, it's great that she acknowledged and that you guys were there for each other, but it also takes courage to reach out to that friend and be like, hey, I miss your presence.
mm,
So I actually like that you also made that ask, because that's not an easy thing to do.
mm,
And like, friendship wise, or just like any relationship wise, is just like you're putting yourself out there and you're saying, hey, I miss you, or I want to do this with you, or let's do this, right? That's putting yourself out there. One of the things that we teach, right, inside our programs, is that relationship building. And it doesn't have to be with a friend always, but how can you make a relationship with your coworker or your former coworkers, or an alumni from school, and build. What we emphasize is build that relationship, right? Instead of making that ask immediately, it's that build that relationship. So I'd love to kind of shift our gears towards that. When you're even for yourself, Coach Sandra, or if you're advising a client to build a relationship with somebody, what are your thoughts on that? But even before going to the tactics, how about the mindset block? Because we have a couple of clients that say, well, I've never done that before. I don't know how to reach out to a stranger and build a relationship. I'm scared that they're going to reject me or that they're not going to open my message. What are the things that you would tell them to kind of make them a little bit more confident or comfortable to do that? And then, yeah, I would love to just see what's worked for you as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. You know, there are a number of things that would repeat in our mind, right? When it comes to shifting mindset or having that limiting beliefs or mindset blockers. I'm not good enough. What if they reject me? Overthinking, and then you get into this analysis paralysis. I guess how I would do it is, instead of seeing it as this one thing you have to achieve and do right, how can we take it as an experiment? How can we take it as an exercise to building? Because remember, we talk about clarity comes after action.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is ever perfect. So if
Mm-hmm.
you now know clarity comes after action, how can you create that momentum? Because with momentum, it creates opportunities. Come on. The more times you do it, the more times you do conversational networking with the people that inspire you, with the people that you're interested in learning from, you will be surprised what doors opened or what
Mm-hmm.
opportunities come. But if you're just hung up in your mind that says, oh, I gotta send in 5 job applications today. I need to talk to 10 people because I need to network because networking is the way for me to get a job, then you're doing it the wrong way,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think a lot about that, the process, the journey. How can we shift from what if they reject me and say, what if they don't? What if they're just busy? It's
Mm-hmm.
not all about you, the world doesn't revolve only around you. So get out of yourself, but do something for yourself.
Mm-hmm. I like that, Coach Sandra. This is something that we share a lot with our students, with our clients. It's the whole. I think I would do it like this. Coach Sandra might do it like this, and neither one of them is 100% right, and there'll
Mm,
never be 100% right. And anything in life, actually, right? Like maybe I shoot basketball like this with my right hand, and Coach Sandra likes to shoot it with her left hand. Just a crazy example there, but it's like the same thing with like sending out a message to somebody that we might not know. I like going a little bit more, maybe a harder sell. With like, hey, Joe, I saw that you were here with the last company for 3 years. I would love to work there too. You also did this at a company that I know at, and right? I'm trying to build that connection and I maybe go into it. Where somebody else might say, well, I think that's too aggressive for me. Maybe
mm,
I'd like to go in and just like, hey, I saw that you went to a school that I also went to. Nice to meet you. And they might go with a little softer sell there. And none of it is wrong. And I
mm,
think that's the scary part about the job search, and also maybe the good part of the job search is that you can never truly F up. Right? You can never really truly F up because there's just so many different ways to do it. At the same time, it's not like a test either where you can just go in the back and copy the answer because there's no right answer. So
mm,
it can be scary or good depending on your perspective and how you look at it. But like you were saying, Coach Sandra, it's like the people who tend to look at from the positive side or from the what if side, those are the people that I see typically have more success.
mm.
Is because they look at it from a positive side, and because they look from a positive side, they're willing to try more different things until they get it right. And not to say there's not some people who are maybe a little bit more negative that don't get results, of course, right? But I think from my experience, we've done this for thousands of students. That's just typically what I see. Coach Sandra, you've been fantastic. I also don't want to keep you for too long, so I do want to maybe just a couple more questions that I'd love to get your take on because we've been talking a lot about mindset and mindset blockers, right? I think one thing that I'll take away from this is you'll have clarity after action, not necessarily clarity before action. I love that. If you could, if you could maybe someone watching this and they're like, yeah, I think that's a good note that I can take. But what about like from a tactical perspective? if somebody wants to achieve their big career goals, what typically do you see are the biggest mindset blockers for them achieving it? And is there a solution to this mindset blockers? Like
Mm.
from your experience working with so many clients that you have, what do you see are the most common mindset blockers stopping them from achieving the big stuff that they want to get?
Yeah. I think it boils down to fear of uncertainty and failure. But those are real fear, I would say. We are always in that space where, oh, what if I don't get it? What if I did my best and I still couldn't land an offer? And I would usually share this analogy, and I said, oh, but wait, you've been alive for as long as you are today, and there's never a single day that allows you to know 100% sure of for certainty of tomorrow or next week or next month. So why is this different? And then I'll top it up with, okay, what if you stayed exactly where you are today for another 5 years? Is that more risky? Is that what you want? So again, I think sometimes people are uh, entertaining, or I guess get sucked into the spiraling thoughts that they couldn't come out of. So, you and I show what we do is we listen, we give them the space to breathe, to share, to vent, and then we ask the next question. And again, it's very tactical. What will you do if you know that you are not going to fail? What will you do if you know your time now is short and limited? If you don't take that chance, you would regret it, and you know it for sure. How? So those are just some of the reframe that we do.
I mean, that even got me thinking too, of like the stuff that we want to do too, right? Of like, yeah, we want to create this and we're doing this podcast and we want to create more of this. But just like thinking about it, what if we just stay the same for 5 years? And what does that look like? Where when I first heard you say, Coach Sandra, like if I heard it from a coach, and depending on the context of what we're talking about, right? It might like, oh, I don't want to stay like this. Like my thought might be like, oh, this is scary. I don't want this.
Mm,
But then if you also think about it, also the current is also not that bad, right? Life is also good here. So it's interesting way. I think it's a great question. It's a great reframe. And from that question, I think the person who's being asked that will get an initial gut feeling of, oh, that's scary or it's not scary. For me, if you were my coach and you just asked that back to me, like let's say you just stayed the same for 5 years, my first thought would be like my logical brain would think like, oh, I should be scared of it. But now I'm like actually sit with it. I was like, oh, it's actually not that scary. Yeah, I want other things and I want us to grow and bigger team, whatever our goals are. But it's not the worst thing in the world. So that might mean, again, I'm coaching myself here now, but that might mean I actually like what's going on. Like
mm,
I'm in a place in life where I'm happy and we did some things and I'm actually where I'm content.
mm.
So if you're watching this, my friend, right? Ask you, maybe don't ask it yourself, but think of Coach Sandra in front of you asking it to you. If you did nothing for the next 5 years, how would that feel like? Or Coach Sandra, if you could repeat your question again to the viewer, what was that question?
What if you stay exactly where you are today for another 5 years?
Boom. I love that.
But Sho,
I
talking
love that.
about it isn't all that bad where you are today, I think a lot of us would resonate with that because it's
Mm,
familiarity.
mm,
But you know
mm,
that you want something. So, the best way, I suppose, there's no one size fit all, but one of the ways that you can do to get through, to push through, is not thinking about, oh, I need to change my entire career or I need to pivot to something entirely different, but rather, can you start small? And I think that's what WorkHab is
mm,
doing with all the clients and the students. Start
mm,
small. What is the one thing you can do today? And if again, I love this phrase, right? Clarity comes after action. And what
Yeah.
happens after action? Action builds your confidence.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
I love that. Well, like even just that question, right? What if you stayed the same exactly for 5 years? I think thinking of myself in the last few years, maybe last decade. If you asked me that question in 2015, I would have a very much different reaction than maybe 2020 or the 2025, right?
Mm.
Like it's crazy how our lives and careers can change and we just go through different things. But I love that. I love that question that you just posed to the viewers, Coach Sandra. Just to I wanna wrap this up, Coach Sandra. You've been wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. And if you like this conversation with me and Coach Sandra, please comment below or send us an email at podcast@workcap.com if you want to see more of these conversations. Because again, we're lucky that we have Coach Sandra on our team and she's wonderful. So that means we also have access to her too, right? So if you like these conversations, if you like the great insight that you're learning from her, comment below or email us. But Coach Sandra, I would love to ask you maybe just one more question, if you're okay with that. Maybe two more questions, Coach Sandra. So, Coach Sandra, we talked a lot about these limiting beliefs and mindset blockers. I would love to ask you, what do you think is more important? Fixing the thoughts that you have about yourself and what's possible, or the actual tactics behind it? Like you said, the action that often comes before clarity. If you had to kind of rank one or the other, or not, how would you tackle that question?
Mm. I would say the moment you're able to train your mental resilience to the mindset that you want, that helps you put one step forward, that would be the first thing. That is your first hurdle. Because from there comes that deep breath in saying that I can do this and I want to do this, and you go and try. And that's when all the tactical things will come in handy, because then now you already have the whole sets of toolkit, and it's just ready for you to pick and choose which to use for the day, for the week, for the month. But it's the moment that you say, I want to do this.
It's so true. It's so true. And it just brings me back to even we had a coaching call yesterday with one of our clients. We'll call her Rebecca, just to protect client confidentiality. Rebecca has a final round interview this Friday, and she's been working with us now for about 3 months, and she's gotten close a couple of times. But the way that she was talking about her final round interview this Friday, it was just a matter of fact. Like, yeah, sure, I have this interview on Friday, and I'm excited about it. Oh, by the way, I also reached out to this recruiter, and I'm like, wait, yo, Rebecca, you have a final round this Friday? Like, that's big, yo. And she's like, yeah, but I've been going through it. And what I was telling her, that energy of just like kind of not nonchalant, but just like matter of fact. It is what it is. It's gonna happen, and I'm gonna do well. That's the Rebecca I want to see on Friday.
Mm,
Of course, I won't be there, but like if I, as her coach, as her cheerleader, I was telling her, Rebecca, the way you are right now, and you're talking about it, and you already met people, and you have this confidence about you. Please just take you from here on Tuesday and put you on Friday, and I can't guarantee anything, but I'm like, I'm so confident in you as a coach that it's gonna work out well. I can't guarantee anything, right? We can't guarantee an offer and they're gonna give you all this, but I'm confident in you to do it
mm,
and be great at what you do. So I so agree with you, Coach Sandra. Because if let's say Rebecca came to me, and there's nothing wrong with asking tactics, right? But let's say Rebecca came to me and she's like, "Oh, but show how do I answer this specific question? And should I wear black or should I wear white? And like should I show up 10 minutes early or 30?" And tactical. These are tactical questions, and we get them all the time, right, Coach Sandra? Nothing wrong with that, guys. Nothing wrong with that. When we welcome it too. But there is a difference between someone who knows their shit and just knows that I'm gonna come in and it's I'm gonna do great, versus
mm,
somebody who's scrambling last minute. There's just different energy there. So I
mm,
think what you're saying here, Coach Sandra, it's like the mindset stuff sometimes does trump everything else. Because once you get that right, Then you can maybe move on to tactics when you're like, oh, I feel great about it already. So maybe I don't even need the tactics as much. And you walk into it. I think that's a fantastic, fantastic insight that you just shared with us. Coach Sandra, last question for you. Any last piece of advice you can give to anybody who, you started off this call saying that you meet a lot of people who are lost in their career, and you have felt this at some point in your career too. I've felt it too. So kind of take this home circle 360. Any last piece of advice you'd give to somebody who currently feels lost in their career right now?
I think I'll probably share something that means a whole lot to me as well personally when I'm filled with, self-doubts or uncertainty, is that courage to do something isn't about removing your doubt and your fear, but it's actually moving through despite it. And I really like what you shared earlier about your client, Rebecca. It sounds like she has reached a point where there's ease in the flow, which is why she's able to speak as though it's matter of fact. But you and I know the journey that she's been through. It's not an overnight success, right? She went through a whole lot of different shift and progress, action, inaction, spiraling thoughts, and then she is where she is today. So I think the one thing that I guess the audience can take home today is, don't forget that having courage or bravery is not absence of fear.
That is so great. That is so great. You see the fear, and can you still make a move? That's really what separates the winners from those who don't win. I won't call them losers, the people who don't win, right? It's, can you take this action? It could be a small step, doesn't have to be a giant leap, but can you still do the stuff that will help you towards your future? Coach Sandra, you're fantastic. Where can people find you, Coach Sandra? If they're like, hey, love this conversation with Show and Coach Sandra, where can I get more of Coach Sandra? In any places that people can find you?
Oh, 100% at WorkHap. That's where they can find me. And secondly, I'm on LinkedIn. They can find me through LinkedIn. It's Sandra T, capital T, or maybe they can drop an email to WorkHap.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, my friend, thank you for watching this, and thank you, Coach Sandra, for being here and giving us all your insights. Fantastic. If you enjoyed this conversation, if you want more of this, let us know at podcast@workup.com, and we will see you next week. All right? Take care, everyone.